Hello YouTube, my name is Katie and I'm going to be starting a new YouTube channel. I am basically starting this just to kind of have something to do. I don't expect it really to turn into anything. Basically, I'm just going to either rant about things that I think grind my gears, so to speak, or things that I just find interesting. So sometimes I might do skits, sometimes I might do some funny things, but I haven't really decided what I want to do with it. I just know this is more a hobby for right now. So the first thing I want to talk about today was I just read something interesting, and it was about the Harry Potter series. J.K. Rowling, I noticed on CNN, had talked about how if she could go back and change it, Hermione would have married Harry instead of Ron. Now, I somewhat agree with it, and I somewhat don't. I'm going to read to you guys what exactly was said, just so that you can know, so you just don't think I'm just taking this out of context or anything like that. So basically, this starts out and it says, and I quote, "Author J.K. Rowling, the woman who dreamed up the pair and turned them into two of the most recognized figures in literature, is now throwing cold water on the central romance in the gazillion-selling Harry Potter series. Rowling now says she should have paired Hermione Granger with Harry Potter, instead of his bud, Ron Weasley. And then she delivers this punch to the gut of Ron fans everywhere. Ron and Hermione would have needed relationship counseling." Rowling makes her disclosure in an interview that Emma Watson conducted with her for the entertainment mag Wonderland. The Wonderland issue doesn't come out until Thursday, but Britain's Sunday Times published excerpts of the interview in a front-page story. J.K. admits Hermione should have wed Harry. "I wrote the Hermione-Ron relationship as a form of wish fulfillment. This is how it was conceived, really," Rowling says in the interview, "for reasons that have very little to do with literature and far more to do with me clinging to the plot. As I first imagined it, Hermione ended up with Ron. I know, I'm sorry," she adds. "I can hear the rage and fury it might cause some fans, but if I'm absolutely honest, distance has given me perspective on that. It was a choice I made for very personal reasons, not for reasons of credibility. Am I breaking people's hearts by saying this? I hope not." And this continues on for a couple pages. The next page she says, Hermione meets Ron in the first book of the series, when he and Harry saves her from a mountain troll. We learn of the pair getting hitched in the epilogue of the 7th and final book, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, published in 2007. The couple even has 2 kids, Rose and Hugo. And they lived happily ever after? Well, not quite. According to Rowling, she thinks they deserve a last bombshell. 2 years ago, she said she once considered offing Ron off altogether. Funny enough, though, she planned from the start that none of them would die. Then midway through, she says, which I think was a reflection that I wasn't in a very happy place, I started thinking I might punish one of them off. Out of sheer spite, she says in a conversation with Daniel Radcliffe for the DVD extra feature for Deathly Hallows. "In my absolute heart of hearts, although I did not seriously consider killing Ron," is what she said. Now, many believe that it is very true that Hermione should have ended up with Harry. And I understand why they're saying this, because if you think back to it, Harry Potter and Hermione do have a lot in common. They are both Muggle-born. They are both very powerful wizards. They are best friends, just like Ron and Hermione were, but I think they have a deeper connection, honestly, than Ron and Hermione had. Now, I'm not trying to hate on Ron and Hermione either, though, because they also had a very good relationship. Ron and Hermione, to me, was such a loving relationship to watch grow from when they started out to the end, and I really loved how the relationship blossomed. Now, I can see on both ends where people are coming from. Some people like the idea of Hermione and Harry, and some people like the idea of Hermione and Ron, how it should have been. Now, even though Rowling says she feels bad about this, I don't think it's necessarily something she should feel bad about, because honestly, everyone's going to have their own opinion about this. I understand that she regrets doing it, but at the same time, the book series still was great, just the way it was. So even just leaving it the way it was, I don't really think it would have made that much of a difference. I mean, think about it. Harry ended up with Ginny. That was still a really good match. Harry and Ginny were perfect for each other. They made a cute couple. Ron and Hermione ended up together. They had kids. They were a great couple as well. Yes, they had some rough patches, but what couple doesn't? So either way, the book turned out very well. I think either way would have been fine. I don't have a preference on either one. In the beginning, when I first started watching the series, though, I did think that Hermione was going to end up with Harry because they have so much in common. And he does stick up for her a lot, and she sticks up for him a lot. So they have that very relationship-like qualities in their friendship that would make you just all of a sudden think, oh, they're going to end up together. And then when they didn't, it was kind of weird. But at the same time, it made sense because Harry's in love with Ginny, then it makes for a better happy ending. Everyone lives happily ever after, Harry and Ginny get married, Ron and Hermione get married, they all have kids, their kids go to Hogwarts. It's a good ending. It is. Because if you think about it, if Hermione would have gone and been with Harry, where would Ron have gone? Would he have ended up with the girl he was dating before when Hermione got jealous? Or would he have ended up alone? And for Ron to end up alone, I feel like that would just be like kind of outcasting him. And I do think the way that she did it originally does make the story better, like she said, but in her opinion, it should have ended the other way, and I do see where she's coming from on that. So, I don't know. I want to hear your guys' opinions because this is a big thing because it's Harry Potter. It's been out for a long time. I've grown up watching and reading the books and watching the movies. I totally understand if people are upset by this and they don't agree, and I totally understand if people do agree. It's very matter of opinion, and I really think that this topic should be discussed amongst people because, it does add to the book. And honestly, if she wanted to go back and do it, she could write an alternate scenario for Harry Potter. She could, I know she won't because she's already said she won't write any more Harry Potter books, but she could go back to when Ron and Hermione, when that whole thing started, and could write it so it was Harry and Hermione and could change it up. So there is things she could do to fix it. She's obviously not going to fix it. I mean, I know she says she regrets it, but she's obviously not going to change it to how she regrets changing it to. I also still think she should do more books or even more movies on Harry's kids and Hermione and Ron's kids and just their exploration of growing up and going to Hogwarts and what their adventures are. But I know that we'll never see that as well. But it sparked my attention, and it really inspired me to want to make this first video because it really is one of those things where it's just like this huge bombshell because you grow up loving these characters and you grow up getting to know them and you're like, okay, that's how the story ends, and then to find out that that's how the author didn't want it to end, I mean, it's huge. So, like I said, I just want to hear your guys' opinions. If you liked it, just go ahead and subscribe if you want to. If not, it's okay too. Like I said, I'm just kind of doing this as a hobby, but thank you for watching my first video, and I hope to put up